Do you want to avoid tenants that cost you thousands of dollars? Here we go with red flags on applications. Some of these are kind of funny, in order of severity with number 1 being the worst. Number 8, the instant breakup. This one's kind of funny, and I've seen it many times. On some occasions, I'll have a woman apply for the property. I ask if anyone else will live on the property, and she says her boyfriend will. I say, great, I need him to fill out an application so we can do a credit and background check. This usually results in an instantaneous breakup. It's miraculous to see. You know what? I thought about it, and my boyfriend won't be living at the property. Just me. This is a huge red flag. Let her know that you cannot continue processing until her boyfriend fills out an application. You'll get lots of pushback, texts, phone calls, voice messages, promises he won't live there, and maybe some profanity, but stick to your guns. You're not denying her, but putting her application on hold until the adult she indicated would live there fills out an application. If you let her move in, she'll more than likely sneak that boyfriend in, and he's probably a shady dude. Don't fall for it. Red flag number 7, staying in a motel. When you ask someone where they are staying, they might say in a motel. They usually talk about how expensive it is and how it's a dangerous place to live, especially if they have children, and they would be correct. I'm not talking about staying at a Hyatt or Marriott for a few weeks between properties. I mean someone who can't find anyone to rent to them and is staying in a by the week or by the month seedy motel. Think a really bad rundown Motel 6, like something out of a movie. It's the kind of place where drug deals and prostitution is common. These people often come off as desperate, and they are. And while I sympathize, it is a bad idea to rent to them. The typical applicant does not end up in a motel like this. It is a symptom of chaos in their lives. Common reasons for being in this type of motel are thrown out of the place they were currently living, being evicted, having felonies, and substance abuse issues. They will likely have an unsteady income, if any, and they will not be able to give you a good rental reference. Proceed with caution. As with all red flags, not everyone in a motel is bad news, but many are. Number 6, my current landlord is horrible. There are several variations of this. The place I live is dangerous and I gotta get my kids out of here. The landlord won't fix anything. The landlord is evil, etc. It is important when finding a suitable tenant that you can confirm they have successfully rented from someone else in the past. Your best chances of avoiding problems are when a former landlord or property manager tells you, yes, this person paid on time. Yes, they didn't cause any problems. And yes, I would rent to them again. The big problem with people who complain about their landlord is they usually have a very different story than their landlord or property manager does. There is no way of knowing who is telling the truth in these cases. The evil landlord, somebody scary and heartless like me, or the poor innocent tenant. Unfortunately, you need to give yourself the benefit of the doubt. Try talking to previous landlords, but if you can't find a property manager or landlord that will give this person a good reference, then don't rent to them. Number 5 on my list is my mom, the landlord. And I've seen this one myself enough that it has to be on the list. Newsflash, some tenants lie to us. They know something about their past will keep them from getting the property, so they lie about it. Ask me how I know. Some applicants don't want you talking to their landlord because they were evicted or had other serious issues, so they might list the actual address they lived at, but then list a friend or family member to pose as the landlord when you call. How do you get to the truth if you suspect this? A few suggestions for you. Look up the address on Google Maps. If it's an apartment complex, contact the property management office yourself. Next, look up who owns the property. This is done through the county property tax website. I've done a video about how to look this up. I'm pointing up at it right now. Click on it. Whoever you talk to on the phone, make sure they either are the owner or know who the owner is. If they don't, this is a red flag. Ask for a copy of the lease. If they can't or won't provide it, red flag. Ask for a copy of their driver's license. This can sometimes reveal an address they lived at that they haven't told you about. Maybe they were evicted from this address. And lastly, you should request checking account statements. These statements will show you rent payments and deposits from work. If it doesn't show it on there, that's an issue. Red flag number 4, living with friends and family. Here's a good hard fast rule. Don't rent to somebody that can't give a prior rental reference. It's best not to take first-time renters, even with cosigners. Sometimes when you ask for a prior rental reference, they'll tell you they've been staying with friends and family. Other times they'll tell you the old landlord isn't reachable because they died or moved away. If someone is in their 30s or older and claims they've been living with friends and family up to that point, this is a red flag. That's not normal, and they probably are hiding something and have problems with income and or prior evictions. Friends and family don't count for prior rental references. Don't take on first-time renters like students or people that just moved out of their home. They are sometimes flaky, disruptive, and don't typically stay long. Number 3 red flag, I'll pay 6 months in advance. Who doesn't want more money up front? I don't. Why? They know they are high risk. If they offer you rent in advance, this is usually in exchange for you not asking too many questions, not confirming income, running a credit or background check, or talking to prior landlords or property managers. Sometimes this is someone who is involved in illegal activity. Make sure you verify income, prior rental references, and do credit and background checks. It is extremely likely you'll find something you don't like when someone offers advance rent. On to number 2. This and number 1 are almost always bad news. Number 2, I need to move in fast. I'll give you deposit and first month's rent right now. Again, amateur landlords might get excited about someone who tells you they've got first month's rent and deposit in cash and can move in today. Maybe it's taken a while to rent this property out and they were getting nervous. This person is not your solution. This request is a huge red flag. Someone who says they want to move in right away is usually a sign of drama and chaos in their lives. The first strange thing is they're almost always willing to do this without even looking at the property. They're desperate. If it has walls and running water, they'll take it. They've likely been evicted and have nowhere to go. They've got kicked out of a friend or family member's house and don't want to end up in a motel, which was number 7 on the list. They will ask you how long the process will take and press you to do it faster. They'll seem desperate and in a hurry. They are. Always tell them the process takes at least a week or so and it is not something you're willing to rush. Let them know if they meet your criteria, you'll do your best to get them in as soon as possible. FYI, they know they won't meet your criteria. That's one of the reasons they want to move in today. Once they're in, you can't get them out. Go through your process of verifying income, prior rental history, credit and background check, and take your time. On to the phrase that is the biggest red flag in real estate investing in my experience. Every time I hear it, I have a good laugh. Number 1 on our list, drum roll please, if you'll just give me a chance. This has a very specific meaning. The applicant acknowledges that something about them is alarming or undesirable. Usually it's a combination of income, credit, criminal, and even eviction issues. They want you to take a chance on them anyway, as they promise this time will be different, and they are turning their lives around. They're appealing to your sense of charity. You have the power to give someone down on their luck a chance. Isn't that beautiful? If you would like to do this and it makes you feel good to provide charity through your real estate business, then go for it. I hope you have deep pockets. But I can tell you, every time I've done it, I've lived to regret it. It's cost me thousands, sometimes more than $10,000 to clean up their damage and mess. If you want to be successful in real estate, you have to acknowledge risk when it presents itself. How do you mitigate your risk legally? You understand fair housing laws and have rental criteria that don't violate them. You deny applications that don't meet your legal rental criteria. Here's what you need to know from the Fair Housing Act to keep yourself out of trouble. You cannot discriminate in property rental based on race, skin color, sex, nationality, disability, and family status. Some states can add more to these rules, but no one can do less. What are you allowed to use as criteria to find a low-risk tenant? You can use information like what their income is, information given from prior landlords or property managers about their payment history and ability to take care of the property, info from credit and eviction reports, and in most states, the existence of felonies and bankruptcies. Here's a good example of rental criteria that you could use on your properties that would be legal in most states. Verified income of at least 3 times the rent, a good rental reference, credit score of at least 600, no evictions, no felonies, no open bankruptcies. If you have more questions about rental applications and the process, ask in the comments below. This is Rich from Rich on Money. Hit that subscribe button now. YouTube seems to think you'll like one of these two. Click it before this video ends and I get pissed. Too late.